for that. All right, hi everyone, welcome to our last GM of the quarter. Very exciting meeting today. We're gonna do a quick committee recap and then transition to our hand social. So announcements, please check your inboxes for more detail. But essentially we are transitioning to an in-person and bi-weekly format for next quarter. Committee meetings, format and time will be determined by your director, so please check in with them. And lastly, a reminder to fill out the Google form, again, sent via email by Friday at midnight to 1, vote for the spring GM time, 2, to read the updated attendance policy, and 3, to indicate your active status going forwards into next quarter. All right, that being said, I'll transition to Outreach to do their winter quarter recap.
Hello, everyone. This is Outreach Committee's winter recap, starting with the events team.
Hi, I'm going to be going over one of our first projects, which is Brain Awareness Week, the Brain Awareness Week posts. So one of the main purposes of this project was to spread awareness about Brain Awareness Week by collaborating with PR to create social media posts on a variety of different neurological topics. And some of our accomplishments and progress that we made on it was we were able to post a weekly infographic series on Instagram with each post highlighting a different area of the brain.
All right, hey guys. So for we also worked on resume and CV workshops. So what we did was we covered how to really cover resumes and CVs through professional outreach, and we also covered how professional tips on how to formulate resumes and cover letters by going over formatting, content, and general tips. So we also discussed various applications of resumes and cover letters, both at UCLA and other external opportunities as well. So for future projects in the spring quarter, we are hoping to partner with the curriculum team and create an informative booklet that spreads awareness about neurological disease. And we hope to, kind of spread this booklet out into our local community through high schools and whatnot. And we also hope to further collaborate with other organizations around UCLA and locally so that, we can further expand the reach of hand. And this is kind of an example of what we worked on. So like we covered formatting tips and what you should include in cover letters and resumes and the main steps in order to kind of go through that process from making your resume to your CV and then going through interviews.
Yay, thank you, events. Okay, now moving on to a curriculum team recap. Okay, just to give a quick reminder of what curriculum team works on, we mainly just strive to communicate information that we learn with our greater community. And this quarter, we've done that through the GM that we had, also a City Lab collab and the booklet. Next slide.
Okay, so moving forward, during our week 8 general meeting, we discussed ways to get involved in our community to better provide resources for members that extend beyond hand. So some of these included Step Up Tutoring, Brain Awareness Week, UCLA Alumni Mentor Program, Hearts Over Hands, the mentorship program at UCLA, as well as virtual shadowing. Above all, we hope to inspire members to continue seeking their passions and discovering new interests.
And then also this quarter, we presented to some high school students about neurotechnology and its applications in Parkinson's treatment during the City Lab collaboration. And in the collaboration, we also hosted an escape room for students to utilize and practice what they learned.
And just like events, curriculum is also working on a booklet project where we would spread informative booklets about neuroscience and general topics about the brain to schools or just areas on campus, like from topics ranging from anatomy to even careers in like the biotech world. So yeah, the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Outreach, and fantastic job. I'm excited for the new projects coming in next quarter. Next, we can pass it to education.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'll be presenting, or I guess I'll start us off on the education committee. We've been up to a lot of great stuff this quarter, so we're really excited to share what our squads have been working on. So first we have the podcast squad. So I believe Ben is going to be presenting on getting us started off.
Yes. So for the winter quarter, we produced and released 2 podcasts. The first one was What's the Deal with Gene Therapy? And the second was an interview with the PCLA. So we released the first one on February 21st and the second on March 4th. And then we're brainstorming new ideas for podcasts in the future, which will be covered in the next slide.
Yeah, so podcasts, they've made their plans to like release new episodes. So definitely stay tuned for the collaboration with Judy and Travis. And they have some plans for next quarter, which is reaching out to professors in the fields of like brain-computer interface, because it definitely addresses, what our club is all about. And they started, reaching out to professionals within the industry so that we have a lot more interaction within our podcasts and a lot more variety. So these are some of the possible topics that the podcast members have been discussing, which is Neuralink, brain-computer interface, the P300 speller, if some of you guys ever heard of converting thoughts into like computer commands, which is really interesting, and neurograins. So yeah, podcast squad has been up to some cool stuff. And next up, we have our social media and newsletter squad. So if our members could please present. Okay, so social media newsletter squad has been coming up with a lot of new infographics this quarter. So you'll notice that our Instagram page has a lot of the topics that we've been covering in our GMs. So this is just the list of things that we've been going through, because we definitely want to make sure that we're covering all of the basics for you guys. And next quarter, we're definitely going to transition back to presenting more about movement disorders specifically, now that we've covered all of the basics of neuroscience. And some of the expected topics that are going to be coming up next are Tourette syndrome and dystonia. And then finally, we have our seminars and research squad. Yeah, so at our general meetings, we presented on neurological disorders, brain stimulation, and neuroplasticity. And we also had a good combination of journal clubs from the Batan Lab, Eric Lab, and the Zeiger Lab. So big thanks to our seminars and research squad for putting together such great and educational presentations on that.
So for next quarter, I've been thinking of another guest speaker, Dr. Michael Djokovic. So he covers topics on mechanisms involved in neuroplasticity in the injured brain. There's a specific paper that I thought was interesting that focuses on how exercise improves Parkinson's symptoms. So that's a potential guest speaker for next quarter. And future seminars are going to go further into more topics of neuroanatomy and focus on specific brain structures such as the basal ganglia.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Outreach. Education, my bad. But I'll pass it on to PR team.
Hey guys, don't mind going to the next slide. So what we have accomplished this quarter is continued on with member spotlights. We did begin the Day in the Hands of Instagram takeover. Isabel, thank you so much for starting that in preparation for our upcoming recruitment cycle for spring. Continued to develop our general meeting graphics, as well as did our Valentine's Day fundraiser. Continuing to promote more Instagram story interactions. And last but not least, we are currently collabing with Outreach for our Brain Awareness Week posts. And this will be happening next week, March 14th through March 20th. So be on the lookout for posts about that. And continuing next to what we have for spring quarter, we have our recruitment cycle beginning. So be on the lookout for an announcement in regards to flyering during week 1 and 2, as well as having our application open during week 1. So if you have any friends that are interested in joining this club, please reach out to them, reach out to other organizations. Continuing on with graphics for recruitment, as well as Instagram takeovers. And then last but not least, Daniel is in a club called AIM, and we are collabing with them during week 5 and presenting on topics such as neurodiversity, imposter syndrome, and stereotypes in the healthcare field. So look forward to that. Yeah, and that's all about PR.
Wonderful. Thank you, Max and PR. Really enjoyed all the fundraisers that you all have accomplished in this past 2 quarters. So thank you so much for your continued efforts. And last but not least, I'll pass it on to Alex to do the IT recap.
Yes, just really briefly for innovation team, I'm just running through quickly what data analysis was, what data output have been doing regarding the iStop shaking device. I started with the data analysis team. They've been working on understanding accelerometers. Dana knows a lot more about this, but he's unfortunately busy at this time. But data analysis has been hard at work understanding accelerometers, as well as sort of the code that is going to be underlying our device. So just recently, they've gotten the accelerometer soldered with the Raspberry Pi at the makerspace, and they're ready to start coding to analyze that accelerometer data, which is something that we're looking forward to in the spring quarter. On the other hand, we have data output. We've been working on understanding the EC motors that we have acquired early last year, as well as understanding how to create the circuits to use those motors, so finding the components and finding the parts that would be necessary to turn them on and use them properly. So we'll be assembling those materials together soon, and hopefully have something that we can bring together the 2 sides of the innovation team together to have something a lot closer resembling our device. And so for spring quarter, more accelerometers and more motors. Again, digging into the accelerometer code as well as data analysis in 1 dimension as well as multiple dimensions is definitely something on our roadmap. We finally got all the preliminary work regarding setting up these devices done. So trying to figure out how we can implement them is key. And then finally, more motors, putting those parts together and then manipulating the system so that they do exactly what we want is going to be a crucial part of spring quarter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex. And great job to the IT team, as always. Now we're going to transition into our social. So I'll pass it on to Crystal.
Thanks everyone for a great presentation. So the rest of this meeting is going to be reserved for a social. I know it's week 10, I know everyone's stressed. And so in times like these, it's important to take some time and just talk to people, maybe relax a little bit. So please keep your cameras and mics on if possible, so you can get to know more people, and you can switch around the breakout rooms as you please, just to explore the different game options. And so really quickly, let's go through the rules for the 4 game options that we have, just so y'all can make a more informed decision. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So first of all, in the main room, we'll have Tiffany leading us in the Jackbox game pack. And then we'll have the game options of Gartic Phone, Trial by Trolley, and Spyfall. So Jackbox games, that's kind of just a game royale. You can pick any game that you'd like. You can decide as a group and explore the different choices. Gartic Phone, I think, has been played in this meeting before, but it's pretty much just a Pictionary where you try to draw other people's phrases and also guess what other people's drawings mean, and then see how closely the final message matches the original phrase. And then Trial by Trolley is kind of an ethics debate type of game where it's the ethical dilemma where you have 2 trolley tracks and which one do you run over, and you kind of compete in your convincing skills and also a little element of luck against the other team by placing good, bad, and modifier cards on each of the trolley tracks. So at the end, you want to convince the conductor to run over your opponent's track and not your own. So it's pretty interesting, but this one requires an odd number of people, so please be conscious of that. And then finally, we have Spyfall, which is kind of just a doubting your friends, who do you trust type of game, where you're trying to figure out who the spy is by asking your team members about the location that you should all be a part of if you're not the spy. And for the spy, they want to try to guess what the location is before other people can find out who they are. So that's a quick overview. I'll open up the breakout